Zach, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I'm actually look. The best monitor upgrade you can do. Okay, let me see this. I just need something to. Oh, I like this guy, and he upgraded his stereo. It's some guy. I think he's in Germany. Amphion 115s. Yamaha and NS 635s. Never heard of them. I heard of the NS 10s. What up, bro? Jerron, what up, man? John, what's up, bro? Uh, John, I know how it is, bro. I caught it twice. Um, I caught it after the whole lockdown. Um, I caught it after the lockdown. And then I caught it again like November of last year, I think it was. Early November. Second time was worse than the first time. Oh, Slime, what's up, bro? Slime, my brother, what up, man? To be honest, John, to be honest, I was like, dang. I was like, I suck that bad? Wow. Alrighty. I mean, really, bro. I was like, John ain't even called back. I must really suck. There we go. Okay. Oh yeah, bro. I got this in I think the red one. I think you saw the red one. I got them both from the same guy. Okay, what? If you know the mid range, you'll nail the mix. Ignore these. Ignore what? What's he talking about? No, no, no! Don't go away. Ah, that is true. If you ignore the mix, you're ignoring the tone of the song. The only thing I've ever found that really works with scooping out the mix is eh, is like slap bass. Problematic roller coaster. Son of Beast, a wooden disaster. Oh no, wooden roller coaster stock. What? Apple storage pricing is insane. Do this instead. Hmm. Do not buy this. I am Antelope Audio. Really? I thought their stuff was good. Oh well. I'll stick to uh Focusrite. A 2 terabyte upgrade. No way. No way. No way. Paul Gilbert, yeah, he's one of my favorite guitarists. Wesley, what's up, bro? Thank you, bro. Yeah, trying to mix it up. I don't know who played for Paul Gilbert's band. That's a good question. Woo! My body's going through ketosis, so I'm like, well, actually, it's fighting. It's about to go into ketosis. Um, but yeah, I have like no energy. Once I go into ketosis, then all the energy gets restored. Oh man. 2 points. MPC 3. Our desktop producers left in the dust. Um, don't worry about that. That's funny. Three-way speakers. Forget two-way studio monitors. Use these instead. The Cali audios. Yeah. I like the ones I have. That beat is fire. I love this girl's her theme music. Um, what? Um, um, really, I do. Excuse me. I do give out a lot of free game, bro. You just gotta catch the morning streams. When I'm on a practice pad, kid, I break a lot of stuff down. You know, I break a lot of stuff down. This morning, I was literally breaking down contracts, um, record contracts, and how the industry works. So I give out a lot of free game, bro. You know, and it's easier. Um, it's easier when I'm on the practice pad kit because, first of all, my phone. I do all this from my phone. Excuse me, and it's a lot closer. You know, and it's beginning of the day. I got more energy, and but yeah, so like yeah, I give out a lot of free game, man. You know, um, about like a lot about what's most important. All kinds of stuff. How like I always tell people, I'm not doing anything special. You know, I just put in ridiculous amounts of work. And I just I try to relax. If that's the key, people ain't gonna tell you that. They're not gonna tell you, oh, you just relax and like this is the thing. Don't play with your shoulders, your elbows, or your wrists. Pause. Play with your hands. Pause on that. But you got to strengthen your hands, bro. You know, everything should come from your hands, and you accent with your wrists. But it's just this. It's a lot easier to go like I'm not really going that. I'm not going. I'm not lifting up that high. Just instead of takes more. I can, but it burns a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of jerking motion and all that stuff. Why do all that? Well, you just go. It's literally opening and closing your hand. You know. So and in the morning are when excuse me. The mornings are when I'm using the talking metronome, which is free. Pro metronome. You got to catch the morning streams, man, where I spill all the secrets, you know, all the little things that like I like to tell people stuff because I mean to be honest, a lot of dudes ain't gonna tell you. They're just not. Why should they tell you? You might take their job. That's just facts. And there's guys who will literally not tell you. It really is that deep. Like, they're not gonna. They'll tell you the basics, but they're not gonna give you the secrets and the nuts and bolts of how to actually get good at playing drums. They're not gonna because you're essentially teaching you're training somebody for your position. That's what it is. So I I give out a lot of free game. Plus I got too much going on to worry about somebody taking my position. Nobody can play like me. They can't. I play the way Mark plays. I don't play the way somebody else plays or just like I can't I could imitate somebody, but I can't play like them. The only thing I'll ever be is a cheap imitation. I'll never be them. And why would I want to be them? You know what I mean? So that's I always say that. Like Don't try to be like me. I can teach you some stuff, but don't try to play like me. Try to play like yourself. Because the only thing you'll ever be is a cheap imitation of me. You know, I spent years trying to be like my drum idols, you know, and then a friend of mine, I tell this story all the time. A friend of mine, Tony Tedesco, um, he was like, bro, why are you trying to be like this guy? Like, he eats, he sleeps, he craps, he gets hurt, he needs food. Like, he's human. He just put in more time and he probably had some secrets, some little secret tricks or whatever that people don't, don't normally reveal. And he got with the right band, at the right time, and he was, he just got picked up by the right people. But he's no different. Like he's literally no different. I was like, you know what? He's right. Then, I don't know how I came to this conclusion. I think it just eventually just sank in. You know, I just I realized, man, I can't. Like all these drum guys, my drum heroes. I was like, man, I can't be like them. I can't. The only thing I'll be is a cheap imitation. And then I got into situations where people thought it was cool. You say, yeah, this guy's pretty cool, but he sounds exactly like Neil Peart. Or he sounds exactly like Vinnie Colaiuta. Like, for instance, I thought it was I would think it was a compliment. People would be like, you sound just like Billy Cobham. And I'd be like, yeah, with my chest out. And then I realized, I was like, that's not a compliment. You know what I mean? Another thing, too, was when I saw this guy, he sounded like a cheap imitation of Vinnie Colaiuta. He sounded just like him. And he wasn't a bad drummer. He just sounded exactly like Vinnie Colaiuta. And at that time, I was really in my Vinnie Colaiuta phase. You know, I was listening to Frank Zappa's Joe's Garage and all that stuff. And, and the stuff he did with John Patitucci and the stuff he did with Chick Corea, guys like that. So I was really, really in my Vinnie Colaiuta bag. So I could really identify his licks, his little idiosyncrasies and what have you. And it's for as good as the guy was, he sounded like a cheap imitation of Vinnie Colaiuta. And I was like, I don't want to sound like that, man. I just don't. I don't want to sound like a cheap imitation of Vinnie Colaiuta. I just don't. So ever since then, I was like, okay. But on the one hand, I was like, so should I not try to sound like people? Then I had to think about it, and I was like, it's like learning to talk. You don't sound like a cheap imitation of your parents because as a baby, you're sitting around listening to your parents talk, trying to imitate what they're saying. Like you sound like there's nothing wrong with sounding like an influence, having an influence. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you have your own voice and your own way of speaking, as long as you're not regurgitating your mama and your daddy's, the way they think about things. You know what I mean? Like, I got 4 kids. Number one, I don't want to control them. Number two, I advise them. When they're young, I'm dad. Look, don't do this, don't do that. If you do that, you're going to burn yourself. But then after a while, as they get older, you're still dad, but you start becoming a friend, more of a friend, where it's less about yes, 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 no, no, no. And it's more about, well, son, I think you should do this. Or I call my daughters honey. Well, honey, I think you should do that. Now, my oldest daughter, she's in college. She'll be 19 this year. There are things that if she asks me questions, then I'll tell her what I think. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I could tell you what I think about the situation. There's certain situations where I'm like, no. You about to get played. Now, if you go for that, this was going to happen. And there are other things that are kind of murky, and it really depends on how they approach things and how they think about it. You know, that's when it comes about. I'll give you advice, but ultimately you're gonna have to come up with your own decision, and you're gonna have to come up with your own conclusion. Well, it's the same way with drums, with anything really. At first, you're a baby. You're a baby drummer. You're developing your vocabulary. So what you need to do is learn as much as possible, as much kinds of music. I say this all the time. Um, Music is like vegetables. There's some music you don't like. You need to learn it anyway. You'll develop a taste for it, just like you develop a taste for vegetables. But you need to learn it anyway. Number two, um, don't sweat it. You're developing your vocabulary. Now, once you develop your vocabulary and you feel comfortable playing in different styles and different settings and what have you, and you've developed your own different, you know, way of playing things. A lot of it is when you're copying licks from these other drummers, you might be like, well, I like how he did it, but I want to do it this way. Um, so now it starts to become about how you play certain things. Um, so it's and then it starts. The more you start doing that, the more you start developing your own way of playing things. The more you start developing your own way of playing things, you are actually developing your style. That's becoming now you're creating your own personal vocabulary. Like I can say things like, people are like, where'd you get such and such from? Oh, I got it from this person. And they don't even recognize. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I just play it the way I play it. You know? Um, but yeah, when you're copying licks, there's nothing wrong with that. At all. That's how you develop your vocabulary. But also when you're copying those licks, make sure you want to, you might like I would play something note for note. I'd learn something note for note. I would learn volumes of albums note for note. Like when I say volumes, like if an artist had 12 albums, I'd learn them all note for note. And then I would play those songs and I'd be like, well, I don't like the way this guy played that. Let me play it this way. And in doing that, I was developing my own vocabulary and how I play things. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but I was developing my style. And I'm not any different. That's how you do it. So. Minus 50 to 70. Yeah, yeah, you know. And that's where it's funny you said that people are there for a vibe. Well, I'll say this. I don't really like that term vibe because that's low hanging fruit. You know what I mean? Um, but if you're trying to be authentic to whatever style you're playing, then it's not necessarily a vibe, but it's about what that style entails. You know, like there's a term that I try to adhere to. You gotta you gotta know the rules to break the rules. You know, and really, man, when you're playing live, people they ain't in it for a vibe. They want to see a performance. They want to see you smash. You know what I mean? Pause on that. But I don't like that term vibe because I think the whole concept of a vibe. I think it's watered down music a lot. It's because anything's a vibe. You can turn anything like you could have a drone. I could literally make a track with some basic drums and just have Now there's a place for that, but what's happening is everything is becoming a vibe. And it's low hanging fruit. It's easy. It's lazy music, bro. I mean, it's appropriate for certain times, but if you keep doing it, you're being lazy. Like it's lazy, you know. Um, that's what happened to rap, bro. Rap became just a vibe, and people stopped actually caring. That's why I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry, I got to get on my soapbox, but that's why artists like Kendrick Lamar are like some of the greatest artists of our time because they have some songs that are vibes. Like he's got a song with Rihanna it's called Loyalty. That's a vibe. That's a dope vibe. He's got some songs that are vibes. Everything ain't he's trying to teach to people, you know. What's up, bro? I'm on stream. Yeah. Um no, you talk about what's in your mind and your heart. What? That's actually good. That's good, man. That is good. No, I got some. Thanks anyway, bro. I gotta go in a little while. I want to hang out with my son. But but yeah, I mean, like you can. It's low hanging fruit at a certain point, you know. And I don't know if you notice artists that really put a lot into their craft, like Tyler the Creator and guys like artists who put a lot into their craft go further. They have longevity. Artists that are just going for a vibe and here for a check, they don't last long. You know, there's there's tons of those guys. There's tons of guys and gals. There's tons of them. They're here today, going tomorrow. You know, um, the only way you're gonna really do something is if you actually, like I said, there's nothing wrong with a vibe. Like I have songs, I got whole albums that are vibes, but I got other stuff. So you got to kind of mix it up. Don't be so preachy and teachy and over people's heads. So they got to kind of try to dissect your music. You know, um, but don't go for a vibe because if it starts, your music starts to become disposable. You know, and people may not like that. They don't realize it's what they need. That's just the facts. They don't realize you need that. You may not like it, but you do need it because your life isn't just a vibe. It's not based on a vibe. You need something that's going to speak to you. And what happens is people listen to vibes, and then when they're going through something, they put that stuff down and listen to something with some substance. You know what I mean? So, you know. But yeah, as a matter of fact, I need to get some energy restorage, and I'm hungry. I can't really eat much. I can. Um, I'll eat some cottage cheese or something like that. I don't know. Exactly. You gotta recognize it. Like it's like this, bro. I heard a producer say this. He said he had a guy. He was in the studio with a guy, and they're cutting the tracks. The guy's in a vocal booth, and he tells the guy, he's like, "Hey man, this is kind of offbeat." And the guy's like, "Well, my style is offbeat." He said, "Well, can you rap on beat? Because that's fine if you can rap on beat, but if you're like always, if you can't rap on beat, if you're just like off beat, that's not like you can't rap. Like it's cool if you can rap on beat, whatever. You rap like Eminem or whoever, but and then you choose to be off beat. Um, then it's like okay, Well, he can actually rap. It's kind of like T Pain. People thought T Pain couldn't sing. They thought all he did was auto tune until they actually heard him sing, and they're like, "Oh, he don't need auto tune. He chooses auto tune." You know what I mean? Now, a lot of guys they ran with the auto tune, and that's all they can do. It's like, and it eventually reveals itself because you start seeing them live, and you're like, your show sucks, bro. You can't, like, you're horrible. You know what I mean? So, um, you know, like you got really, you got. This is what you do. You gotta develop your craft. I mean, really, really, really practice and really put time and effort into developing your craft. Then you dumb it down for the masses. Then you make it. Then you got to work on making it as catchy as possible. You're gonna have to dumb it down. Now, when you want to say something with some substance, you have the ability to say something with substance because you've worked on your craft. A lot of guys, man, they just think just stepping in the booth, don't write anything down, just literally walk up and spit whatever comes in their head. That's the talent, you know. And it's like it's drivel at that point, you know. So I don't know. Like only a few people can do that. Only a few people can just authentically spit what comes off out of their head, like Lil Wayne, Jay Z, Biggie. Those guys can they can just they can have stories. Like Biggie spat from the top of his head, and he would literally tell stories. They would be complex rhyme schemes with double and triple entendres, telling a story, and he'd write any of it down. It was all just sitting in his head, smoking weed in the studio, and like, okay, I got it, I'm ready. Go in the booth, and he's spitting a whole story. Same thing with Jay Z. He would just like he didn't smoke weed, but he would just sit there and be like. As a matter of fact, Jay Z would do this. He's got this high pitched squeal when he's coming up with stuff, and his hands twitch, his eyes kind of flutter, and he's like, okay, and like he's been sitting there mumbling to himself for like 5 to 7 minutes, and then now he has this whole rhyme with the ad libs in the back. Lil Wayne, I saw him work. He would just sit there and be like, bobbing his head. All right, press record. And then just spit. And he might be like, okay, he'll spill half the rap. He'll spit half the rap. And then be like, okay, rewind that. Okay, press record. And then he'll spit the whole rap. You know what I mean? So, but what happens is, man, people, they want the prestige of not being able to write, and they just don't have it. They don't have that skill set. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some of the best rappers are writers, you know, but they ain't it. So, I don't know. That's enough about rap music. Let me get out of here. This is my third stream today. I'm worn out from playing drums. Plus, in between streams, I was playing, so. Yeah, the Lils, as they call them, the Lils. But you know what though? Everybody back in the day was on some mafioso stuff. So it's kind of like it's the same thing. Everybody was on some John Gotti the Don. It was like when Nas had his mafia name Nas Escobar, and so it's like everybody had these mafioso names. So it's the same thing. I ain't mad at it. It is what it is. Love you too, bro. Jerron. Yeah, man. Yeah. You too, Drake. Drake's Journey. I like that name.